We just gonna sit here and smile?
Great, we can. Back for another one. Back for another one. See, I know what y'all gonna say. I know what y'all gonna say. We all know what y'all gonna say, which is, what is this boundaries part two? You know what? Don't worry about it. We'll talk about it.
Yes.
Back
Boundaries
to
part
smiling.
2.
Yeah. Part two. Part two, because part one was already fucking recorded. It's recorded on my channel at the Zodiac Experience.
So go there
Zodiac
to watch
still.
it.
Go there to watch it. I think it'll be somewhere around here. We'll see. Or
Yeah.
it'll be in the description, if not, wherever. But at the Zodiac Experience podcast on Spotify, on that is what I started before that I'm firing back up simultaneously, which is more of a surface level type of podcast, more business wise, wellness, healthcare, massage, energy workers, kind of more of that topic, because this channel is in depth. And we agreed that the boundaries more in depth would be suitable for our next episode over here, where we can really talk about it, versus being more
Yeah.
surface level there, which is cool. It's still great messaging and
Mm-hmm.
everything, but we're shooting a part two. So if you want to check part one out, like I said, the link will
Go
be in
over
the
there.
description over there, wherever the case may be. Maybe are we? Are we? Don't worry about
Vogue.
it. Right? I don't know. But part two is getting down and greedy. So I guess I can kind of fill y'all in a little bit on part one, just to kind of, because there's some things that I could have talked about over there that I didn't display over here, going more along the lines of boundaries. But you know what? We're gonna just basically boundaries. It's very important. Personally, it's very important to set boundaries for yourself. It's important to set boundaries for, if you're in the business aspect or the business field, which I talk more about over there. But over here, we want to get down to more spiritual boundaries, and we can sprinkle in other stuff around it. But the core anchor would be more the spiritual aspect of boundaries. So let's start off with a question. The question is, which what, I'm gonna ask Star this, to kind of, because y'all been hearing me talk a lot, like, God damn it. So let's feed off of what is boundaries, which can also be like spiritual hygiene. It also can be related to multiple things, sacred space, or, some people put walls up, even though I guess it's perspective. But what is boundaries? How can we display what's best on the spiritual journey aspect of boundaries? Right?
It's a point of no goddamn return. A
Yeah.
point that you can't cross or somebody else can't cross. It's a fucking fortress where you're like, we ain't going there, or you ain't coming over here. Like this is where my energy extends, and this is where it's going to stop before it's depleted. Or this is what I'm willing to accept or deal with or put up with before I lose my fucking mind. Um, and boundaries, I mean, I know we're talking about it specifically spiritually wise, but you got mental boundaries, you got physical boundaries, you got psychological boundaries, you got emotional boundaries, and all of them play a role in you protecting your fucking energy. That's the whole purpose of having a boundary, is protect, because that's the most precious thing that we have. I used to say time is my most precious commodity, but time really doesn't exist. And I was really saying my energy, because I have in this vessel a finite amount of energy to deal with the bullshit
Hmm.
before I have to
Right.
go in my cave and recharge. And so if we're
Right.
constantly giving, and allowing people to run over our boundaries and say, oh yeah, for whatever reason we're doing it for, we can get to that on some other talk, but constantly giving. And I used to always hear, you can't pour from an empty vessel.
Right. Matter of fact, let me
And
add, because you got me over here doing the Stevie Wonder, like, oh, it's
and,
about to,
I was gonna
we
be my
about to get
sarcastic ass.
in.
Hold on, right? I was gonna
Right.
say, who said the vessel is empty? There's air in there. I mean, I know you can't see what's pouring out, but there's air in. I mean, just different
Yep.
perspective. But I
Or
get what you're
ether,
saying.
you can look at it.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can look at it as
But I
ether.
get it though.
Yeah.
You can't pour from an empty vessel. If you ain't got energy to do shit, how can you really, really support somebody else? But go ahead, Zoe.
Oh
Go
yeah.
ahead.
Well, you know what kind of came up to mind? What came up to
Mm,
mind, if you haven't heard about it, is more of just a brief hint on human design, right? And with the human
mm,
design, for a prime example, just to get Deb a little bit deeper into mine, is I'm a projector. So there's multiple things of human design. If you never heard about it, there's generators, which is most people. Right, generators you can look at as like kind of like the worker bees, right,
mm,
and the ones that just need something to do, what needs to be fixed, what needs to be done. They're just pure action, right? But then you
mm,
have the projectors, and the projectors is the one you can, like, they project. They send out what needs to be done. It's the one that sends out the work, and or the vision, or what needs to be done. It's the sight. It's the okay, this is what we're doing today. And it's like, oh, so we're the what we're doing today. And then there's the manifestation, or the manifestors, which are the ones that's like comes up with what needs to be done today, right? So it's kind of like the handoff. It comes up with what needs to be done today, manifestors. Projectors sends it out, right? And the generators makes it happen. It's the workers. So it's
mm-hmm,
kind of like that. But me as a projector, I'm what you call a splenic projector. And a splenic projector means my energy, and one of the key words is, which is why I brought this up in the first place, is
Is it that
divine,
splenic word?
defined.
Oh, darn.
Yeah, the splenic word, which my spleen is where my energy comes from, right? If we're
Mm-hmm,
talking about human design in a human vessel, my spleen
mm-hmm,
is where my energy comes, but it's a defined splenic projector. There's a defined and there's an undefined, right?
mm.
The defined means it's fucking limited. I only have so much of energy to give out before I need to be left the fuck alone. I don't want to see nobody. I don't want to hear nobody.
Or
All that.
talk
I ain't got
nobody.
nothing to talk nobody. I got nothing else to give.
Mm,
Nothing else to give.
yeah.
Now, if you're undefined, that means you actually draw, you're open, you're opposite of fucking limited. Of course, you're unlimited, but you're unlimited by pulling and interacting with others' energy.
Mm.
And this is why I brought this up, where I start doing the Stevie Wonder, like, oh shit, I'm about to hit you with this now. Because this means we don't know. A lot of people don't know that they can be very, this is where you get the energy vampires. This is where
Mm-hmm.
you get
I
energy
was just about to go
drainers.
into that. Mm.
This is where you get everything that's just draining, and they don't know it, because it's like it's like tasting sugar as something delicious for the first time, and you just want more and more and more and more and more and more, like a the energy vampires. That's cool. Once they get their feast, or the blood that they're trying to get, it's like, I gotta drain you, you know what I'm saying? That's what happens. And you can tell those people by when they're around you, they're talking all the goddamn time, and you just feel tired. And just being in their presence, you feel like, I can't do nothing. I don't feel like, well, what is this? You just feel like you need a nap. You feel
So, so,
you can
so
get
listen, right?
angry, you know?
Listen. Linda, listen. I got that from my sister.
Right? Linda, listen,
Look,
Linda.
so I often tell people who, again, because sometimes we could forget, and we've been on this journey a long time, and so we forget. And then for our new people that are just awakening to, who they are, how to tell the difference. Because there's mainly three types. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can go into some subtypes. So Zoe mentioned vampires. And like he said, when you're done dealing with these people, you feel like you need a vacation, a drink, a blunt, something. because you have no energy left. So they have sucked it all out of you, right? And you just like, oh my gosh, I need something to rest. So those are the ones you want to minimize your contact with. And I'm not going to say avoid them altogether, because we're here to help each other, right? And you're going to come across those energy vampires, and you just need to know how to protect your energy or call it back to you. But you're there to help them for some reason, but don't just let them suck off you. I mean, unless you like being sucked, that's a different story or
Yeah.
topic. Mm,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
But we're not gonna go there. So then
Like,
you got
yeah.
so then you got your balancers or your neutrals. So these are individuals that you deal with, right? And you guys feed each other. You guys impart into each other. You learn from each other. You get wisdom and energy from each other. And when you're done with each other, you don't feel an abundance of energy, but you also don't feel depleted. It's just a mutual, beautiful exchange. And those are people that you'll probably want to spend most of your time hanging with. And then you have the batteries. Those are the individuals that once you're done with them, you feel like you are high off of life. You start glowing and shit. You feeling good. You can go do like 50 million extra things. And of course, be respectful. When you're done dealing with an individual like that, return their energy back to them, purified by source. Typically, when I would get readings from somebody, or some of my spiritual brothers or sisters, one thing that I have been very conscious of, which is something that I learned when I was doing readings, was that I would return their energy back to them, because that's a lot of energy for them to tap into, your Akashic records or past life or into ancestry stuff. That's a lot of energy that they are using, because they're using their vessel mostly, and unless they've learned how to only be directly connected and utilize sources energy, most of the time they're utilizing theirs. And so it's respectful to say, hey, thank you for the energy that you're sharing with me. I now give it and return it back to you, purified by the divine source. So typically those are the three types of energies that you're going to deal with, and that's how you know you're dealing with them, by how you feel
Mhm.
afterwards.
Absolutely. Totally agree. Because, and one thing that hit me up is, batteries, you feel energized, but those batteries may look at us as vampires.
Vampires.
So it kind of goes in this full circle.
you
So when you come
know,
across a battery, you can be the vampire in this
in their
situation.
story, yeah.
And right, and the vampires that's around that's draining you the fuck out of you, you can be the battery of that situation. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a full circle on, and it's about balance, which is the reason for boundaries in the first place, is to
Mm-hmm.
see about balancing everything, not too much over here, not too much over there. Let me bring this down. I'm cooperating too much over there. That's too much, man. Get my energy back. What the fuck you talking about? You know what I mean? You can do all of that in the one, right? And it's important because most people, beings or whatever, kind of ignore a lot of boundaries, and we find ourselves in a lot of
Yeah.
unfortunate circumstances because we didn't have our boundaries up. We can also be so gun-ho on helping people because we're here to do,
Mm-hmm.
but we can overdo it to the point
Mm-hmm.
where when somebody sees you, like what's the saying, give an inch and they take a mile. When they see you
Mm-hmm.
trying to help so much can hinder them, because now they want to take full advantage of that. They want more. Oh, I could depend on
Yep.
this person and get more and more and more and more. And now you just sitting here talking about, I don't think I'm gonna invite them for Christmas. You know, you know? Yeah, I mean, Christmas ain't real anyway. We want to talk
Yeah.
about another story.
But
Hopefully,
that's aside
whatever.
from the point.
But
Okay.
that point. But at the end of the day, it's like, I don't think I want to invite them over. And you find yourself kind of even ghosting the situation, or, because sometimes
Mm.
you got people that want to, uh, I'm gonna say it anyway. Fuck it. You got some people that want to try to pick information between a lot of people and go in between here and in between there,
Ah.
and try to hide behind the scenes, but get all perspectives because they feel like they they're in
Oh.
charge, charge or they have authority
Entitled.
or entitled. See, one thing I say, which y'all love, speaking about titles, titles creates entitlement. So
Mm.
be careful of what title you put out there. If it's a friendship, if it's, a
Mentorship,
partner,
partnership,
mentorship,
whatever kind of ship you own.
whatever ship you got, relationship, be careful of the titles because that unchecked and unhealthy can create entitlement where people feel entitled to get whatever they want from you, if it's from information or what this person is saying, or if
Mm-hmm.
it's information on what you doing with your life, or try to tell you off of the information they may have heard about you, what you
Oh
should be
yeah. What was
doing in
that
your life.
that phrase that we heard? Love without boundaries is
Boundaries
evasion.
is invasion or invasive. So love without
Invasive. Okay.
boundaries is
Is
invasive.
invasive. Or
Yeah,
I
yeah,
also heard love without boundaries is self-destruction.
yes, or self-destruction. That's two perfect examples. So
Mm-hmm.
boundaries is the core. It's a vessel within itself of
Mm-hmm.
everything that makes you as who you are. If you're going to allow somebody to infringe on that, or are you going to
Mm-hmm.
hold up your guard, or are you going to dismiss with love, or do you feel that it's not time for you to be dismissive of this person, but maybe just spend a less time with this person or minimize your presence with that person, to try to create that balance, because that's what
Yep.
boundaries are mainly there to do, is to create, and it's a way to create balance around your life, your beliefs, your thoughts, your emotions, your just everything that makes up of you. You need boundaries around that, right? So
And see, I think a lot of people, it is not so much that they don't know. Well, I'll take that back because in the beginning, you don't know what your boundaries are unless you're experiencing stuff, right? To learn yourself,
yeah,
right?
right.
But then once you're learning yourself, I think a lot of people don't know how to say no. And that's like the simplest way to protect your boundary is saying no. I had that issue when I was, going through my spiritual training. I didn't know how to say no. It's enough. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I don't have any more capacity to continue, going forth or doing this right now. I need to rest and recharge. I didn't know how to say no. And I thought saying no was going to be mean or unkind, or they were going to look at me some way, or what, I was going to be misinterpreted or misunderstood or unliked or whatever have you. I just didn't say no.
Right. And if you're not used to saying no, then, your no is not taking seriously.
Seriously. Yeah.
It's not taking with respect.
Mm-hmm.
They feel like they can just go over the barricade with your no because people are
Like,
so
you
used to
really don't mean
you.
that.
Right,
It's
right.
like
They
the
don't.
salesman. Oh, no just
Yeah,
means yes. So I'm going to keep trying.
right, right. And then no means no. But
Yeah.
nowadays, no also means yes, because a lot of people don't display the word no. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that can even go as far as like just around, today's society, like,
Mm-hmm.
back then, I mean, look at sports for prime example.
Mm.
There are sports where the team loses, but nowadays you have sports where everybody's winners. You know what I'm saying? So, and I say that to
No,
say
you
this,
lost the
you
game.
lost the game. You did not.
You
No, you
clearly
didn't win.
lost.
You
You,
lost,
you,
but they
you
don't
might
want
have
to
won
do that. No.
experience, but you
Right? It's
lost.
like, I want the trophy and the ribbon. No, you didn't win. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
now, since we want to just be with everybody and make everybody winners, we have shortened and shrink the word no, almost darn near forbidden the word no, unless it comes down
Yeah.
to something that's forceful, that is, I'm not trying to
And that
criminalize
does,
anybody or
no,
something
I
like that.
get,
But
and that doesn't help at all because you think about it, and this is kind of slightly off topic, but that whole no child left behind, right? The no child left. No, no, you need to leave their ass behind because they need to learn how to comprehend what they're reading, but you
yeah.
just gonna pass them because you don't want them to feel bad. No, that's a boundary that you shouldn't cross because you don't want them to feel bad. That builds character. No.
Exactly. Hey, I
Make them
totally, and
work
I
hard. Let them understand that in this society, that failure to apply yourself is not acceptable.
exactly. And that's one thing that, like you said, I wish that was here today, but I was totally misunderstood. Like they changed the grading system of the school and everything to
Yes.
kind of accommodate stuff. Like what? You're trying to tell me that a D is now like a 35? Like what?
I'm like, that's
You
a
know what I mean?
straight F
Straight
failure
F.
when we
That's
were
like an
coming
F
up.
minus minus. You know what I'm saying? How is it A,
Like
90s and 80s?
69 is a C? What? No, that
You
was a
know what I'm
straight F.
saying?
What?
It's straight crazy out here to
Yeah, you
try
gotta
to.
really change the grading, the scale, the grading scale. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
it's ridiculous out here. You know what I'm saying? And another
Mm.
boundary where we could talk about, you got, oh yeah, I'm gonna say this and then I'm gonna let you have it away. You got schools out here trying to force the vaccine on people. I say that
Yep.
again. You got schools out here trying to force boundaries, vaccines on students that
Yeah,
states
that's
you can't even come to school here if you're not vaccinated. What? Hmm, hmm,
and all under the guise of public safety. Yeah, I get that.
mhm, hmm,
But at the same token, now you're crossing the boundary of the mother and the father, or whoever the guardians are, that because they don't have doctor behind their name, you think they don't know what they're talking about. Like individuals can read peer review research and the ingredients of these vaccinations or any medication and make a wise and sound decision not to administer that to their offspring because of all the extra side effects that those commercials.
mhm.
And say, oh, look at this new drug. It'll help this, but it's going to give you blah, 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 blah. You know how to say it real fast, right? So you can't comprehend what? You're going to give me diarrhea, gout, and such? I'd rather just keep the issue, God damn it. But
Right.
you're saying because we don't have the schooling of a doctor or a physician or whatever have you, that we can't make a sound decision when it comes to our own health. Like,
Mhm,
you're pushing a boundary, crossing the line, pretty much stating that I am not me,
mhm,
that I have no cognizance of my physicality, of my mentality, of my psychology. I have no clue what's going on, so I can't take care of myself. So I need you to tell me what to do in order to survive. And that's where we go wrong. That's where we've always been wrong. And that's
mhm.
where, and that, that touches on the basis of religion too, because what does religion constantly tell you? You can't do it by yourself.
Just
You're
about to go there.
nothing but a simple human. You are incapable. You can't even speak to the creator without a mediator. And we know
You know
that's
what
some
I'm saying?
bullshit.
Confessions. What? I gotta tell you to tell. No, no, no. That and all that is because as we speak, love without boundaries is invasive or self-destruction.
Mm.
Love
Hmm.
without boundaries is also controlling.
Mm. Yep.
You also
Manipulation.
manipulation. You can keep adding to the list as you want. You know how that's gonna go. Because
Yeah.
that's when it
If you
comes down
love
to it,
me, you
right?
will or won't do XYZ.
Hmm. They
If you
use that.
care for me, blah blah
Yeah.
blah blah blah.
Yeah. It's
And that
always
touches on
yeah.
what the emotional boundaries.
Yeah. Yeah. More of the
And
emotions of
you
yeah.
and when you think about it, like let's go into just normal communication, right?
Yeah.
Oftentimes, because I listen to the words that people use, sometimes I ignore them and don't pay attention because I'm not present. But that's neither here nor there. But sometimes you'll hear somebody say, "You made me mad. You hurt my feelings." Mind you, you're not responsible for managing other people's emotions or their feelings. So it's not that they made you mad, it's that you gave them control over you, or you allowed their actions and your perception of what they were doing and taking it personal affect your feelings and make you mad or hurt you. You're not responsible for nobody else's fucking emotions. What they feel is what they feel because of how they interpret the information that they have received. Whether it's based on history, whether it's based on past hurts, whether it's based on circumstances, how they were raised, their faith or their culture. That's your own programming. I'm not responsible for your emotions.
I agree.
Like we were talking about earlier today. So
Mhm.
you're in a relationship, right? You like to go bungee jumping, and your spouse is like, I don't want you to do that. I'm fearful. I'm afraid you're going to die. Mind you, that's giving them the evil eye, always projecting fear towards them. That's another topic when it comes to spirituality. But if you love me, you'll stop bungee jumping. No, I'm going to keep bungee jumping because I love to bungee jump. This is something that makes me happy. It has nothing to do with you. I'm not disrespecting you. I'm not undermining your feelings, but I'm also not going to put you ahead of myself. I come
Right.
first.
Right. And it should
I'm
be like that on
honoring my
both sides.
authenticity. Yeah, I'm honoring my
Mhm.
authenticity. And if you love me like you say you do, then you're going to respect that and not take it personal that I'm going to go keep bungee jumping. And mind you, bungee jumping is just a metaphor for all types of stuff that people do in and out of relationships, right?
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
not doing this to spite you or to hurt you. Now, some people are conniving like that, but that's a different topic. We're just saying in general, there's people that like to do certain things because it makes them happy. It's not necessarily a jive to their counterpart or to their partner because they want to keep doing XYZ. And unfortunately, a lot of people are not free to be authentic with what their XYZ is because they keep trying to get manipulated. Or
Mhm.
their other keeps trying to manipulate them. Let me correct that. Or the other keeps trying to say, oh, you shouldn't do this, or their peers or society say, oh, you shouldn't do this if you're in this type of union or relationship or blah blah blah. That makes you look like you can't do it. You can't do that. You gotta stop. No, I don't gotta do a goddamn thing, but stay who I am.
That's it. To the point where people don't even want to be themselves. They keep looking for those validations outside themselves because they can't be authentic. And they can't be authentic, one, on their end, because they don't have the boundaries in place to protect their authenticity. And
Mm-hmm.
two, because other people want to try to freaking control it, manipulate it, and just go beyond their means because they want their reality to look a certain way. Right? They
Well,
want their situation to look a certain way. They want their matrix to look a certain way because technically we're, you know what I mean? We're all reflection of each other. So
yeah.
the moment, like we said earlier before, we're all in our own worlds coexisting in each other's worlds, on an agreement, like we mentioned before. I forgot how beautifully you put that. But, at the end
Well,
of the day, go ahead.
I was gonna say, speaking of inner worlds, right?
Mhm.
Because we're on a emotional boundary topic.
Right.
You know how it says, I don't remember, and this comes from the scriptures, only a fool shares like all of their feelings or their emotions.
Mm.
Well, when it comes to this topic, that is very fitting because how you feel about things, your intent and your emotions, they are not to be shared with everyone. Nobody, not everybody deserves access to your inner world. And so that's another boundary. Everybody's so quick. Oh, I this, I that, I this, I that. No, you don't share that with everybody. You
Right.
don't share your innermost. It could be your fears. It could be your anxieties. It could be your troubles. It could be your struggles. It can be the complete opposite of that. You don't share that with everybody. Everybody does not have access to your inner world, and that's a boundary or what one should hold sacred.
Right. And some people may have issues holding things sacred. Some people can't keep a secret. You know, some people can't can't hold shit to themselves. It's like, I gotta share this. They just
I gotta say,
blowing up
oops, I
inside. Like,
accidentally
God
spilled
damn.
it. Oh my gosh.
Instead of
I
me
told your
holding a
secret, God damn
boundary
it.
and yeah, right, instead of me holding a boundary in secret, I'm gonna give it to you and put that responsibility on you not to share
On
with
you,
anyone
yeah.
else. You
Yeah,
know
you
what I'm
know, good
saying? Think a
goddamn
motherfucker
well.
slick.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so you could blame them once it gets out.
Right? You weren't supposed to
Who
say nothing.
told you
No,
to
you
tell?
weren't supposed to
Well,
say nothing.
you weren't supposed to say nothing, but you told me, and you know I can't keep my mouth shut. So I went and
You know
told
what I'm
everybody.
saying? Which creates the gossip. It creates this frequency that feels good, and everybody just want to be in on it. But that's a
Mm-hmm,
boundary
mm-hmm.
you didn't withhold yourself, and then you wonder why. Anytime an argument or a disagreement come, here comes all the ammunition that you spilt over. That's trying to get used
Uh-huh.
against you. That's trying. This is part of that manipulation that's coming up. You know, that is
Yep.
always you're always giving or you usually are the ones who gives the ammunition to your enemies. Dude, let me say that again.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. You're usually the
Yes.
one that gives the ammunition to your enemies. Oh, yeah.
I don't listen.
Comment
I
if
don't
you're like
remember.
that.
I know, right? Snap, snap, snap. I don't
I said,
remember who said this though, but somebody said I never got in trouble for something I didn't say.
right, right. Uh-oh.
I
There we
never
go.
got in trouble for something I didn't say. And this was in regards to like legal work, dealing with the court systems and stuff like that. They mentioned I never got in trouble for something I didn't say. You have the right to remain silent.
Remain silent.
Shut the fuck up.
Nobody, exactly. And nobody likes to shut the fuck up. They feel like they're on punishment or got to
Exactly.
stand on a corner or something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think,
Like,
but,
no, you don't have to. Like, there is power in silence. And it only comes when you set those boundaries and say, no, I'm not going to allow you to manipulate me emotionally, mentally, physically. No, let's talk about that physical part, right?
something.
So this occurred in my own family. So my children were forced to embrace members at church against their will. And I'm finding out about this, later. You're too late, can't change the past. But as soon as I heard that, my thought went to, you are teaching our children not to have boundaries, physical boundaries, to allow just anybody in their space, regardless of whether they like them or not. And that's unhealthy. Because what that translates to when they get older, especially our young men and women, is that it's okay for somebody to enter your space, to touch you, and you can't do anything or say anything about it. You have taken their power away from them by forcing them to embrace people just because they're in your congregation. And mind you, children and teens are very in tune with energy. So they can feel and sense people's energy sometimes way better than we can. So let's say you got a creeper in your congregation, you're forcing your child to hug them. Now what you're psychologically teaching your child is that, nope, you don't have any right to any boundaries. You don't have any right to your vessel. So anybody can touch it. Anybody can embrace you. So then when it gets older and they end up getting molested or they end up getting raped, they think it's their fault when it's not their fault, because they've been taught early on that no, you're supposed to let people in your space regardless of whether you like it or not.
That can play a role on stay in a child's place, right? That usually stay in a child place ends up being a controlling mechanism of don't say anything, or as if your voice or your thoughts or your emotion doesn't matter. It's
Mm-hmm.
the energy behind staying in a child's place. And of course, we all hope that none of this has actually happened, but in this
A
3D
lot
world,
of it,
it's a lot
unfortunately,
of it has happened. You know what I'm
it's
saying?
happening right
Unfortunately,
now while we're on this
there's
goddamn podcast.
exactly over here or there or 100%. Like we wish it doesn't, but it's just the reality of the situation. And it's
Mm-hmm.
always it goes back to that control and the lack of boundaries. And even go and we don't have to go all the way physical. We know all the physical no means
Things that
no,
have, yeah, no
forcing,
means no.
all of that, and y'all know that. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes down, just we're forced with a lot of stuff that we don't want to do. And a lot of times it happens because of minimizing ourselves. It happens because we
Hmm.
don't even know ourselves to know our boundaries. We don't happen. It
Yeah.
happens because we don't even think about putting boundaries up. We don't think about even saying no because of what someone or everything that's externally happening outside of
Hmm.
us. And it's just enter my world and I just hope for the best type of mentality.
Yeah.
And this is why we think that this episode is important, to make sure that you place your fucking boundaries up. It's time for the new way. It's the age of Aquarius, goddammit. Place them boundaries up, build our own fucking world. We are the only fish. We're not cool.
Well, now,
None of that. Unless it's unified. And if it's unified,
yeah.
it's great. That's on the accordance and the agreements. But the new union is 100% you and 100% that other person. If it's whatever ship it is, it's
Hmm.
whole. It's not 50-50. It's not split inside. You
It's not
come
my
and
other
deal with all
half.
it. There's none of
Yeah,
that.
you
You
come with
come complete,
wholeness.
your wholeness 100%. You come 100% so we can make 200%. I can't make 200% by myself. I can make 100% by myself, but I can't make 200% by myself. 100%, 100%. So at the end of the day, put those goddamn boundaries up. This is a new age. This is a new era. And this is the new way that we lead, with all of that. And physical could go, hell, you can think about, hell, we can even put that in. Physical can be like even getting pulled over by the police. And, license and registration, please. Trying to, if you don't
I
even
have
know
the
what a
right to
driver
remain
is,
silent.
you know what I'm saying? And then if you don't do that way, I saw an episode, or not an episode, something on YouTube the other day where the police officer
Hmm.
pulled over a judge and didn't know that person, that individual, the lady
Was a
was a
judge.
judge. Right. So he's doing
Ooh.
this and registration. And he was like, you suspicion, you're driving 5 miles below the limit. And she was like, suspicion of driving 5 miles below? And he was like, yes, may I have your license registration, please? She was like, that doesn't make sense to me. And so I guess he didn't like the sarcasm, even though she wasn't really being sarcasm. She was just being
Yeah,
polite
she
and
was
under
just saying.
control. And also, not even to bring race in this, but this is a black or urban judge lady, and a police officer, of course, uh, Pomhead. No, I'm not gonna put that out there.
Palm side persuasion.
Caucasian, palm side persuasion, but
Okay.
are from the Caucasian, right?
Okay.
So he didn't like that she wasn't getting out of control. So you know what he did? He intentionally covered up his cam,
Camera.
his camera, his body cam, and broke her tail light. And then she was like, "Oh, you broke the taillight." So when she stepped out of the car, guess the way she stepped out of the car? In her robe. She was wearing the robe the whole time. And she said, power doesn't come in that badge. And
Mm.
then he was like, another way,
Oh
trying to
shit.
get his way and everything like that. And it was like, why are you wearing a robe? And she was like, surprise. I'll see you in court. And he was like, don't worry about it. We can just write you off with a warning, okay?
Oh, you gonna
Right?
fix my
Oh,
goddamn headlight too?
right. You gonna fix it? Yeah. She was like, nope. We'll see you in court, and you will
Mm-hmm.
stand before me.
Yeah.
Oh, it was the coldest video ever. But
Yeah.
that's another way of, you can say law enforcement trying to manipulate your rights, manipulate you, and if you don't
Mm.
know you're a part of it, your rights or God-given rights and the Constitution, we can get all into that. Of course, it's always a tug of war for boundaries with
Yeah.
that. Someone trying to control what is God given yours. So that's
Well, you
another
bring up
physical aspect.
a good point, because so I know we're talking about the physical boundaries, and so rest in solitude, because I know you're always encouraging me to make sure I get rest.
Yes.
And
Yes.
most people, especially here in the Western world, so used to go, 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 go. If you're not going, you're not being productive, right? We're so focused on go, go, going, not understanding that there is balance. You gotta rest too. You got to allow what you've been going to manifest in the darkness while you rest and recuperate. So that's another boundary. And it goes back to protecting your energy. But furthering that, we now are made aware that there's all types of entities and energies that are trying to siphon our energy in any way possible. And if you don't set up boundaries, you will be depleted. So that energy, and again on IG watching, a young lady was expressing the fact that while she was sleeping, somebody was on her phone watching her sleep.
Mm. Mm.
Why the fuck are you watching me sleep? Not,
Yeah.
not, not, not to mention the fact that that's creepy, but taking
Right.
it a step deeper, they're watching your energy. These
Right.
devices that we're using, yeah, there's a lot of convenience that comes with them, but there's a lot of
Mm.
inconvenience that comes with them too. Because you
Just as
got people
much.
that are very intelligent that can tap into it, and they're siphoning your energy just by looking at you, just by tapping into your energetic signature. Again, we are very energetic beings. We are electrical vibrational beings. And so when we are paying attention or watching, and again, what we feed ourselves is what we are. We are what we eat. So that feeding does not just come from what you consume via your oral orifice. What are you watching? What are you listening to? What company are you keeping? Because all of that is feeding your energy or siphoning energy from you. And so you have to take those time out to separate yourself from all that and recall your energy and protect your energetic field. That's one of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of having a television in your bedroom.
Right.
Gotta fucking sleep. And you know the
And
television is a goddamn portal.
yeah, because and to add to it, they're only putting out smart televisions that also usually have cameras that also usually can be used to tap into what you're doing. That's all I'm putting
And
out
you
there.
don't even know when the camera is on. And y'all
Mm-hmm.
know that whole, what's that TV show that they have? Black screen or
Black
there's a TV
Mirror.
show. Yeah, Black Mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Your phone is a goddamn black mirror. Your television is a black mirror. Your iPad, everything is a black screen.
And
It's a
screen.
fucking mirror. It's a
Monitor
portal.
all of it.
So you're constantly
Mm.
leaving this shit on and wondering why you're so goddamn tired. Wondering why so much time has passed and you
Mm.
haven't got anything you needed to accomplish because you sitting here doing this number. Scroll, scroll. We even got our pets fucking scrolling.
Right? They want the
It's
phone.
sad when a cat knows that you just go like this and you can scroll. Like, what?
Being watched 100%.
Yes, being
Watch
watched
everything.
and watching. And so you got to protect your energy, what you feed yourself, who you're giving your energy over to. And that's why a lot of people that are on their spiritual journey, they go through different periods of complete solitude.
Mhm.
They don't want to hang out with, and it's not saying, well, it's an imbalance. They don't want to hang out with the people that they used to hang out with. They don't want to go to places where they used to go to because they are now picking up on the energy and the energy is not vibing with where they are right now. So they prefer
Exactly.
solitude because
Mhm.
they're now going into themselves to know who they are and to resonate with the voice that's inside of them, their own vibration.
Mhm.
And it's kind of it sounds like an oxymoron when it comes to going into solitude, but we're so stuck on, oh, I gotta show my identity. We were talking about this the other day. I gotta prove who I am.
Mhm.
No, you don't.
Oh, you don't.
All you gotta do is just be.
Mhm.
And who you are is naturally going to shine forth. Your light is naturally going to illuminate.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
And it's funny because most, like in business, they say, oh, you are your business. Well, yeah, technically you are your business. So, be honorable in your dealings. Keep your word in your dealings. Just basic business practices, which should extend throughout in your entire life. I mean, these are life lessons. Keep your word, keep your promises, communicate, be honorable, be dependable. You should do that with yourself first before you try to do it with anybody else. But they say You have to prove yourself. You have to show people who you are. Well, you show them who you are just by being you. And when you
That's it.
look at it from that perspective, you properly direct your energy inwards versus projecting it onto other people to speculate on who you are and to define who you are by their response to your actions or your inactions, so on and so forth. And so that's a good way to determine whether you're doing something because it's you or because you want other people to say how they view you.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And even to add further to that, because you kind of went borderline a little bit of physical, but you step more into the spiritual aspect too, when it
Mm-hmm.
comes down to being in solitude, that there's entities out here that are real. They're out here to if you're fearful, some people,
Vampire.
vampires, but if you are afraid to be authentic to yourself, there's entities out here that feeds on that fear,
Yeah.
right? There's entities that
Yep.
feeds on whatever you putting out. There can be, especially if it's just, let's say, off balance or imbalance. I don't want to put the
Or
negative word out there,
insecure.
or
That's that one.
insecure. This is what creates, because we are our own worlds, right? Our inner
Mm-hmm.
worlds is reflected on the outer world. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
insecure or whatever, you can easily manifest situations to continuously feed on that insecurity, that kind of start reliving this and this and this. Multiple fears and fears and fears is coming up. So I say all that to say the boundaries start with yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
You have to place boundaries on yourself
Yep.
before, and you learn by working with yourself and your boundaries with yourself. What does that look like? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but how many resolutions of going to lose weight? How many resolutions of working out? How many resolutions
You
of I'm
didn't
gonna get
keep
away
your
from here?
promise to
You ain't keep
yourself.
your promise, which is infringing on your boundary. You're letting
Mm-hmm.
whatever influence you overstep the expectations or boundary that you set forth in place.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that's where it starts, with you
So if you
being
can't do that
authentically
with
you. So when you're
yourself,
not authentically you,
how do
you
you expect
also,
somebody else?
yeah,
Right? Like you
yeah.
said, if you can't do that with yourself, how do you expect somebody else to hold their promises to you if you can't keep your own promise? It's like the pot calling the kettle black, right?
You know what I'm saying?
You said you
And
were
that,
gonna do this, you. While your inner you is saying, uh-huh, and you said you were gonna do X, Y, Z. I'm still waiting.
right? And you know
Yep.
what that is? You may look at it as that person's watching me and everything. Nope, that's yourself being reflected to you. You said you told yourself that you were going to do this. Now it's coming
Yep.
through another person, reflecting through that energy that you are already telling yourself. This is why some of y'all don't like
Mm,
critique, because you've
yeah.
already critiqued yourself and you're already to beat yourself down. Now too, it's reflected on outside of you. Now it's like, oh, I got to beat myself down twice. Yeah, because you didn't say
Yeah.
what you was going to do. You tired of hearing the
You
shit?
didn't.
Yeah, because you ain't changed shit. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, start
Oh
with
my
yourself,
gosh.
with the goddamn
Worry about
boundaries.
yourself.
Be right. Be who you are. Set
Mm-hmm.
boundaries with yourself. I'm only gonna be on
Mm-hmm.
the phone this much. I'm gonna read a book these days. I'm gonna put
Mm-hmm.
this in place. I'm gonna put
Make sure I
that.
exercise, make sure
Make
I
sure I
drink
exercise
water,
and everything.
balance my
And
meals.
balance
Yeah.
your meals, what you intake, because it's going
Mm-hmm.
to be challenged. Nobody got to challenge it for you. Your everyday life that you used to, that's out of balance, is going to challenge it. So now
Yep.
it's coming down from out of balance or imbalance. versus balance. Which side
Mm-hmm.
are you going to choose? And there is no in between. You're either going to
Yeah.
stay functioning in balance or you're going to correct the balance. Whichever
Mm-hmm.
goes, and that, of course, whichever goes, there's experiences and lessons learned on either side. So don't think
Yep.
it's a right or wrong, but understand it's what you want to do. Where are you trying to go to? Because
How
trying
do
to
you
move forward,
maintain
how do you
your
maintain it?
homeostasis? Yeah.
That's it. That's it.
So
All of
now,
that's a part of it.
and I know, we're talking about boundaries, but once you get to a certain point, there no longer becomes a need to focus on the separation of it, because boundary essentially talks about separation, right? And
Oh, let's
ultimately,
go there.
we're getting back
Hmm.
to the point that all is one.
All is one.
So, of course, when
Yeah.
you're first starting off, when you're first recognizing these things, you start setting these boundaries because you're still now redefining or defining or remembering who you are. So
Hmm.
now, once you get to that point of your ascension journey where you know who the fuck you are, you know your strength, you know your power, you know what depletes you, you know what energizes you, you're standing and you're living in that, then you're no longer so focused on, oh my gosh, I got to protect my energy. Oh my gosh, I got to put up these boundaries and these wards. I got to protect my house. I got to do this. I got to do that. Because you're at a vibrational point where the little stuff that affected your energy can't even reach you. The
Don't even
little things
exist.
that
Hmm.
siphoned your boundary, they can't even stand to be in your presence. So now they can't be in your presence to siphon your energy. So you ain't got to worry about that shit.
Hmm.
Now, of course,
Hmm.
the more ascended you go, the bigger the monsters are. We get that part. But just basic understanding and understanding of your ascension journey, once you get to that higher point, you're not focused on the boundaries that we've just been as you just finished talking about. Now, because you understand, you have evolved past that to where you understand that everything is you.
Hmm.
You are not separate from everything. There's that perception because you have a vessel and because something else, like this glass of juice here. But when we come together, we're co-creating something beautiful. And that's why you give honor to everything that you ingest, to everything that you watch, everything that you use, even your vehicles. Some people think folks are crazy for talking to their cars, but that's energy. Your vehicle was
Hmm.
made with metal and plastic, and that comes from Mother Earth, and it's alive and it's energy. Thank you for getting me to and from, protecting me and my family safely, for being reliable and dependable. I appreciate you. I
Hmm.
appreciate you.
Right. I mean,
Thank
that's a
you,
good.
house, for having a solid foundation and having a roof over my head to protect us from the elements. It may not be a big mansion like I want, but it's a fucking house that some people don't even have. Not saying everybody wants a house, because some people love living in nature. I feel
Hmm.
more at home when I'm outside than I'm in the house, but that's a different story.
Hmm.
But then you start appreciating every fucking thing, every body, every bug, including them goddamn mosquitoes. Well, I'm still working
Hmm.
on that part because then the
Me
bloodsuckers.
too.
But
Me
anywho,
too.
you do
Literally.
start appreciating. you do start appreciating once you understand that all is one, and you get to that point in your ascension journey where you no longer need to. And it's a subconscious fear when you're setting up these boundaries, because it's the fear that, oh, my energy is going to be depleted. Oh, it's the fear that somebody's just going to use and abuse me. It's the fear that I'm being manipulated, which is why you focus so much on setting those boundaries to protect yourself. And there's nothing wrong with that. You just have to have that healthy balance. But again, once you get to that point of ascension in your journey where you're like, I ain't got to fear that because I know who I am. I know my power. I know my light. I am in alignment with source, my highest self. Everybody else that I choose to interact with, we are doing an equal exchange of energy. And if they're not, you can't even be in my presence. I am not going to share time with you if we're not doing a mutual exchange of energy.
Even with that, like we in all of those scenarios you mentioned, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is the fear. And the question to ask yourself is why are you fearing? Right? What are you
Mm-hmm.
afraid of? Because if you believe that all is one, I mean, that's just truth, but it's up to you if you want to believe that or not or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But in all is one, what is the fear stemming from? Because it usually, like you mentioned earlier, stems from separation. But if we
Losing
go
your
further,
identity.
losing your
That's
identity, but
where that fear stems from.
even more to add to that is
Mm-hmm.
acceptance, not fitting in. So you feel
Of not
separate
being.
and not being a part of whatever that you see externally.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that's being reflected that you're probably not getting from this because your focus is on external acceptance and
Mm-hmm.
validation and fitting in,
Mm-hmm.
that it comes at a cost subconsciously of you not even accepting who you are. You're not
Mm.
even accepting yourself. So you're
Yeah.
trying to reflect acceptance in others when
Mm-hmm.
you neglect yourself, and then you wonder
Acceptance.
why when you try to fit in, something's off or something ain't right. There's an
Mm-hmm.
imbalance here because you wanting your reflection to do what you don't or what you won't
Mm-hmm.
do for your damn self,
Yeah. Woo. Say that
right?
again.
You want everybody to do the work for you,
Mm-hmm.
ignoring that is you by yourself doing the goddamn work. That's
Yeah.
like you can't, if you're not going to do the work on yourself of setting
Mm-hmm.
boundaries, doing all of that because you fear this and this, and you're not really fully comprehending that
Mm-hmm.
everything is you, then it's
Mm-hmm.
like, what are you afraid of? Everything is you. Even in the
Yeah.
car. I asked a question to go in there, like you mentioned the car and the houses.
Mm-hmm.
They got experiments where you can put a glass of water and get a glass of water and just sit it in the corner. Let it be
Yeah.
there for about 5 to 7 days. And if you come back and you look at that water 5 to 7 days and it's cloudy, there's a lot of negative in that motherfucking house, or there's a lot of imbalance in that house
Mm.
that's being absorbed by that water.
By that
If it's
water.
clear, then hey, it's
You're
beautiful, it's
good.
balanced, you good. That's something to
And you
test out.
think
Hell,
about it. Yeah.
mm,
How about your own body, right?
you,
When you're cloudy? Because
yeah,
remember,
cloudy
we're
thoughts,
made of
mind's
water. You know,
fault.
the percentages keep changing
It's
between 70 to
80%.
90,
Well,
but
yeah,
well,
yeah. We'll say
yeah,
80, give or
everybody says
take.
something
Yeah,
different. Yeah, around that part.
right.
But you think about it. So when you have too much going on, you're cloudy. You're mentally cloudy. You're emotionally vacant or numb, not present. You're physically there, but not really there.
Heart's void.
Yeah, that's when you're in balance. But when you are balanced, you have that clarity, you have that presence. And like Zoe was saying, when you ascend past a certain point and you understand, you truly comprehend what all is one is, you understand that there is no separation. So again, you gain a greater clarity and appreciation for all that is, and you can truly be in an observer mode. People, you can let people do whatever the hell they want to, say what they want to say, and it's not going to affect you because you know that it's not towards you. It's just another version of you. And they have that right to be as they are, right?
Right. That's another perspective.
Now, some
Yep.
some people can go into like the dark side. Well, what about those people that are raping and killing folks and blah blah blah? Yeah, I know. Very heavy, dense energy to deal with. The people that are experiencing on the one end or the other end, some of them have agreed to go through that experience. Unfortunately, we don't think that's true, but it is.
Mhm.
It's part of the collective unconsciousness, which we'll get into in another topic because everybody talks about the collective consciousness. And yes, we believe the collective consciousness right now is getting to a point where a lot more people are starting to become more cognizant of what this whole dream is. It's not a reality, it's a dream. But then you also have the collective unconscious, what we create when we're not thinking about it. Those subconscious fears, those subconscious oppressive thoughts that are still being played out just as much as the conscious ones are. You can't have one side and not the other. in this 3D matrix. This 3D matrix is all about duality. But again, once you get to that point of ascension, you understand there is no duality because, again, all is one. There is no separation because, again, all is one. Mind you, we're talking about both ends of this spectrum here. So, where are you in your journey? Are you just starting out where you're now understanding your energy is being depleted? You're not really sure who you are. So yeah, you're operating from that standpoint of fear. Are you somewhere kind of in the middle where you're like, okay, I got some balance right now. I know to protect my energy. I know how to say no. I know to watch what I'm ingesting, whether mentally, physically, visually, spiritually, psychologically, sexually. Or are you up there as an ascended master? You now understand all is one. So you're just being. You're just being. You're living your life in your light, allowing it to shine, not giving a good goddamn about who says what. We're all somewhere, and sometimes you do fluctuate between those. Something could, snap you right back down into your lower self or your lower thinking. As long as you know that you can pick yourself right back up.
Yeah.
And again, once you get to that certain level, there's not going to be too much fluctuation.
Mm-hmm.
But understand grace with yourself and know that, hey, I got this.
No matter where it looks like, because I mean, you could
Mm-hmm.
think about it. Even like I mentioned the house before, you could think about it like in the car. When you're moving
Mm-hmm.
around, one, how many emotions has fluctuated through the cars? How many times you been in the
Mainly
car, been
anger, road
sad,
rage.
anger, road rage, and your car is absorbing that, right?
And
Then
you
you
don't
wonder
clean
how
it
many
out. So
times you
you
got
sitting and
you
sitting
sitting
and
with all of
marinating
it
in that
just
shit.
dwelling in that shit, right? But even with that, there's multiple roads that you can take with those emotions that you're dealing with those, and that's like your boundary because then you don't want people to see your car. Don't get too close now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? There may be some shit in there you don't want to see, or I want to ride with you. Nah, you can go with somewhere else. You can ride with
Yeah.
somebody else. You know what I mean? Because
Can I come
it's
over to your house? Nah.
nah, I'm cool. You know what I'm saying? Because you know how that person is. You know
Yeah.
how somebody may be very talkative in a car. Somebody can be very quiet in the car. Somebody
Mm-hmm.
might like music playing in the car. Somebody may not
Mm-hmm.
like music. They want to hear the wind. They want to hear the sounds. You never know what type of environment all that stuff goes on. But there are roads that you're taking to try to get to your destination. There is more than one way. This road may be on this side of the spectrum. That road may be on that side of the spectrum. But the way that you navigate there, you still got to the destination and learned the lessons and saw things that you probably wouldn't have seen that you saw on this road that you didn't see on that road
Mm-hmm.
because that road brings a different experience than this. And doesn't mean
Mm-hmm.
you can't go down that road later if you choose to do a time jump or whatever, whatnot to get to that. But
Yeah.
it's multiple things, and this is where that grace comes from because now you're looking at this with the road rage and all that stuff. But when you have
Mm.
grace, you understand that everybody's on their journey as well. And
Yeah.
the boundary for that is for you to get so high at a vibrational frequency that it doesn't even affect you. It
And remember,
doesn't,
nobody defines you but you.
but you. That includes having authority over your emotions, having
Uh-huh.
authority over your thoughts. Nobody can make you feel, think, do anything that you don't want to do. And if you did
Yep.
that, or you hide behind the excuse, well, you made me do it. Nope, your boundaries
Mm.
was enough.
You
You
chose.
you chose.
You chose to allow
Mhm.
that to happen. So take accountability and responsibility for the choices that you made or lack thereof.
Oh my gosh,
Because either way,
accountability.
making a choice or not making a choice, in law, they call it silent acquiescence. So
Mhm.
because you're not saying anything, you are agreeing to what I just said.
Mhm.
Because you're not defending yourself and setting up your boundaries, you're allowing me to run all over you. And I'm going to run all over you until I can't run no more.
Right?
That's typically how this world works. I'm
That's America. Welcome.
These
And
boots
I
were
know
made
people
for
came over here,
walking.
right? And I hear from sometimes, I know there's individuals that come over because the migration conflict of what
Mm-hmm.
the president is trying to do or whatnot of this time of 2025. Look it up, depending on when you see this video. Goddamn it! At this moment, it's all fucked up. But look, right? Some people come over here thinking that America is better because they feel there's so much money over here. I can do this. And they talk about conversions and stuff over there, for prime
Mm-hmm.
example. To get over here, over there, some places you don't even pay rent. You pay rent once a year. Think about it. Once a fucking year. So you got a whole year to do this. But over there in America, their value and their money is so much more better. Then they get over here and think, oh yeah, we're gonna make so much money, to realize you got rent every fucking month, utilities, gas bills. Now you're getting clink, clank, 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 clank. Now you're like, oh shit, it's not what I expected. Let me go back.
Yeah,
And
let
it's
me go
like
back
now
home. God
you
damn it.
gotta fight 10 times as bad to go back around because you didn't understand the value that you had. And I mean, I'm just saying
Yeah.
that just as another
That
example
whole
of a lot of
grass is
stuff.
greener on the other side. Sometimes it is
Yeah,
greener, but sometimes it ain't.
sometimes it's not.
Sometimes it
How
ain't.
you, instead of just time jumping and doing all that stuff too. But to even go and another, there's just an example that's probably a little bit more off topic, but it is
Mm-hmm.
good to know and kind of give different mind specs and different perspectives at all. But
Mm-hmm.
like what I
Mind
was
specs.
mentioning,
That's a cool word.
yeah, I like it.
Go ahead.
Right. But the to go further on what I didn't say on the
Mm-hmm.
previous episode of a boundary of me doing what I do, my own establishment, licensed massage therapist, been doing it for 4 years solo, 100% by myself. I had previous clients that wanted me to be at the ever begging call, right? For example, and this is
Mm-hmm.
me setting boundaries going, I guess you could say this is back to the physical level and
Mm-hmm.
not understanding I had memberships that I got rid of because it became out of hand and it wasn't sustainable for me trying to grow. But the people that are used to overstepping their or my boundaries, which I
Mm-hmm.
take accountability of allowing that situation to take forth,
Mm-hmm.
then me taking accountability, I made adjustments to say, nope, this is the new boundary. We're not doing this anymore. I'm going to try
Mm-hmm.
to do a smooth transition. I'm allowing you to finish out your term, not get the
Mm-hmm.
remainder of your minutes. You got till here to use what you're going to use. And they didn't
Mm-hmm.
like that. And some people
Ooh.
would come twice a month. They just try to use the minutes up twice a month, 2 hours, 90 minutes, and all of this stuff, not knowing when they were doing that, the memberships that, was like 155. Okay, we'll say that
Mm-hmm.
155. But when you calculate how much they were coming in a month, they would spend it'd be over $1,000 worth of service that they're getting at 155. And then when it didn't meet their needs, right? They talk bad
Ooh.
about it. They talk about this, and I'm like, look
Did
here.
they at least tip you on those other
No, there
sessions?
was no even tips, no tips or anything
Oh, that's some
because
bullshit.
right, and that's going in further because
And then they
some
got a nerve
people
to complain.
the nerve to complain and all that bullshit. Exactly, but peep this out. Without the tips,
Okay.
without all of this and stuff, and they're trying to do the boundaries and have the nerve to do all of that. They even try to find loopholes. Some I had people come with expired and they know it's expired, still try to book through their membership. Right. And I was like, this expired. Oh, it wasn't me. My bad, my
Who the
apologies.
hell
No,
else was it?
you
It's your
right.
membership. You
It's
gonna
your
try to?
membership, and you know what I'm saying? Oh, my friend got a hold of my email on some
Oh, really?
bullshit, right?
Really?
Trying to test out where the loophole is because they want me to be at their convenience without them reciprocating the energy that I'm giving to
Yeah.
them,
Yeah.
overstepping my boundaries. And now that I put up this wall, not one of them returned. Now, oh, this is there. Now I'm not going to support. I was like, that's fine. You don't have to as this transition. So I'm not getting
Yeah.
no tips. I'm not doing all of this. And people are just flat out trying to get over it any way that they can.
Possible. That's sad.
So very
Like when
sad.
you think about it, right? So your monthly memberships were 155, and you allotted like a certain number of hours or whatever have you for
Uh-huh.
them to use.
Mhm. Yeah, there's
So
it's
that's got to
basically you had
be
a
like 2 hour like 4 2 hour sessions in a month.
not even that.
And
Really,
I'm
it's based off of 2 hours a month. And the idea is you can break down those 2 hours so you can get 2 60 minutes, but the average should be 2 hours a month. They will go over that and book 3 months worth, 6, 8, 10 hours trying to cram in a month when the membership is not built that way. It's built for you to do
ah
2 hours
okay.
maximum a month, and over X amount of months will end up giving you 6 months on that consistent basis. But they didn't want that. They want to be able to just control, and they want,
Do
and they,
people do people not know like it takes? Because I was considering being a massage therapist, right?
Mhm.
But then I understood my boundaries. I don't like just touching people.
Right.
Because some people don't, their cleanliness levels, their hygiene is completely different from mine. So I'm not just gonna free willy nilly just go and massage on people. And I wanted to do it because of the energy work. I was incorporating energy work into it, but can't get past the fact that people's cleanliness levels, and yeah, because for example, I was, in Mexico, and in Mexico, before you get a massage, they make you take a shower. And I'm pretty sure we could do that here in the States too, but I don't know too many people that do that. I presume that before you go get a massage, you wash your ass anyway. But apparently, what I'm hearing is feedback from other massage therapists is that not everybody does that. They'll come right after the gym, and that's just nasty. But anywho,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that
Yeah,
was a
they got the
boundary that
dead
I
skin
wasn't ready to
cells.
cross. Yep, yep. So I just chose not to go into massage therapy. I'll just live vicariously through you. How about that?
Mhm,
And
right.
it looks like I don't even want to do that part.
Right,
Mm,
because the stores is like, nope, I don't even want that energy coming into my field of energy. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Because
yeah, and
when
that.
going on your spiritual journey and just being, you want to show up with people. So it's not like I don't want people to think as we going in this spiritual journey like we just over here meeting up, and in the forest around, under the sun or
Mm,
under the moon at this time, like it's separate from your everyday. Just being this and resonating at your frequency, no matter what environment you in, is just as powerful of you being in solitude as you being your authentic self. But you're learning your authentic self to be charged, etc. But you still have to operate and resonate for people to pick on. And this is how others are awakening along the process as
So
well,
hold on,
just
hold
being
on, hold on,
amongst.
hold on. Here's a question, right?
Uh-huh.
This is going back to that whole massage therapy thing.
Right.
Understanding that you do energy work,
Right.
I do energy work as well. When you are massaging your clients,
Mm.
there has to be some type of energy transference going on, right? Like, how do you
All the
protect
time.
your boundary in that? Like, I'm pretty sure you got to sever that shit every time you get done with
Yeah.
a client.
Yeah, you basically recalling back the energy, washing your hands. When you like you mentioned earlier, where if a client takes a shower, that is purifying your energy. And after a session, you should
Mm-hmm.
go take a shower again to get that energy or attachments or energy cords or whatever off.
Mm-hmm.
I got to do that
Mm-hmm.
as well. But here we just wash the hands, recall back the energy, sage the room, try to hold the
Mm-hmm.
container in space. To prepare for everybody coming in because everybody's coming in separate with different energies, right? With different
Yeah.
of stuff, and they'll try to get over on you any way possible. Some people on the table,
Mm.
they may try to get to know you better, and that's any
Nope.
profession, because you also got to realize in a small business perspective that people aren't usually dealing with owners. They're not
Mm-hmm.
usually dealing with one-on-one direct contact or
Mm.
direct service or serving, or however you want to put it,
Mm-hmm.
because most companies like Netflix, you don't get to talk to the owner of Netflix or Walmart or any of these grocery stores or malls, or
Yeah. Yeah.
you're not friends with Elon Musk, or you're not friends with any of these people that's in charge. So when
Uh-huh.
you get to small business owners, a lot of people a lot of times want to because they know you have the authority to change, and they'll try to
Mhm.
overstep their boundary to get to know you, to try to manipulate your ways and your policies that's best
Mm.
convenient and suitable for them, which is another
Shame
thing
on
of what
them.
I was going down to with boundaries. I done had
Boundaries, yeah.
people that literally booked a session, spaced it, came back and be like, "Oh, my bad, I totally spaced that. We can do this later today if that works for you, or
What the
tomorrow."
hell they think? You ain't got
What
shit
you
else to do or
mean?
no other
Right?
clients?
Like I ain't got no clients or a personal life or whatever. That's because they feel because I'm doing work with you, I don't have to abide by what you say, your calendar, your policies, your intake
That see,
form.
that's
Like
that's that bullshit.
and that's the bull. But that's what they
Oh,
do. They
they
come in
oh.
and try to control your stuff through you. And it's like, there's people call, yeah, your calendar says this. Then that's what the fuck it means. My calendar is from me. It's an extension of what I don't want to do. I'm not doing this
Look,
day. And now they want to be like, well, this day is the only day I got off. Even when I was getting rid of, like, I'm going through a transition, this client said, well, I don't get off of work till 5, basically trying to say, make sure you're available at 5 so I can come in and get my session. It don't work that way.
no,
My
no, how
business
about you
and
book
none of
it
that. You book it when
and
I'm
pay it?
available. Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah,
tell you. My
exactly.
website will tell
Like,
you when I'm available. Don't text me, which is also infringing and breaking boundaries by trying to text my phone. Like I have one phone, and that
you got a
phone
website for a
operates the
reason.
business. I got a website for a reason, and that phone they want to use, and I'm using it for
Hmm.
emergency contact or purposes, or somebody can't make it,
Yeah.
or they need to get a hold of me. Is what it is. They'll go through that line, try to text, and try to see and change things around or whatever. I had one
Change the
person
schedule that you
change
made
the schedule
on the
that they didn't
calendar
show.
to tell them
Right,
what's available and what's not available.
right. Like one
Wow.
one person said, "Oh, I can't get off of work. We can do this later on." I said, well, first of all, this is the thing, and the thing is this: when people or you dealing with people like that, they're
Uh-huh.
constantly devaluing your service, your business, and everything you got going on. And they feel just because, and this is small business
You
talk,
could
small
be
business owners,
flexible.
just because I
Oh.
gave you money, they're hiding behind this money exchange from them has an energy attached to it as if
Hmm.
you owe them. Not if it falls along policies, not if it falls along your
Hmm.
boundaries, not if it
Regular
doesn't
business
matter if it
operating
missed the time,
hours.
or operating hours, cancellation, none of that matters.
Hmm.
Because I gave you money, you owe me. And I'm not going to, that's the intent. So if they miss it, if they spaced it, they can't get off of work or whatever the case may be, they're talking to you as if they gave you a donation, not paid for your services and agreed to your cancellations and all the policies that you have in
Hmm.
place. They're telling you, and then they're telling you we can do it later as if I paid you money, so you owe me a massage, whether I show up to this or not. But then when they get that awaken
No.
call and you say that,
Yeah.
no, you missed the time that you booked, you paid
Yeah.
for it, you scheduled, I'm here and you're not, you just
Yeah.
lost your money.
Yeah.
That's more on the first episode. Go check that out.
That's how
But I just
business
gave
works.
you
But
and this is a prime example of
what
what
the hell they
started
think this
the
is?
boundaries in the first place. That's what
Mm.
started the whole damn thing. And it's like, no, we're not saying no to this. We're not being around people that makes us feel a certain way, that tries to take control of our emotions, that tries to
Gaslighting, guilt
control
tripping,
gaslighting,
invalidation of
any
your
of that. We're not fucking doing it
yeah.
no more. It's time to put your boundaries up. It's time to see what it looks like. It's time to display it and be authentically you, unapologetically. Don't give a fuck what anybody say. They gonna have to deal with it. It's a new fucking day, and no means
Ah.
no. God damn it, we bringing that back to where it used to be. Period.
No means no in several different languages,
In several
actually.
different ways. But
No.
also,
Now,
speaking of that, because you brought up energy work, speaking that
niente.
for my energy workers out there, for my
Uh,
light workers out there, for my
mm.
mediums out there, that's a whole nother boundary list that you got to set forth. Working in those energetic fields, working in those
Oh, so
multiple
let's talk
dimensions,
about that real
working,
quick.
you got motherfuckers get
Real
attached and
quick.
follow you back home real quick.
Exactly. So when I used to do ancestral readings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I had to instruct the ancestors of my clients to have a spokesperson, because all of them would try to talk to you at once. And I'm like, I don't have multi-hearing.
Mm-hmm.
It's heavy energy when all of them are trying to come at you to have you share whatever messages they want to share with their client. So that's a boundary that you had to place on the fucking spiritual realm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all y'all ain't gonna speak to me at once. I am not allowing you to utilize my vessel. So there is no you coming into me to use me to speak. No, you can say what you need to say and I will repeat what you said. You're not using
Mm-hmm.
my vessel.
Talk
I'm not
about it.
giving you, that's a boundary. I'm not giving you the authority to utilize my vessel to do or say whatever the hell you want to say. No, I'm just sharing whatever messages you have for your descendant, your, loved one, so on and so forth. So yeah, you even got to set boundaries in the spiritual realm when you're working with these deities.
Mm-hmm.
They're not above you. You're not beneath them. You are working with them because they may have greater ability and powers in the spiritual realm that you may not have remembered quite yet. And yes, they have certain rules and boundaries that they put up, and you better damn well follow them, because if not, you gonna get yourself fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the same thing on your side. You also have to set your boundaries. So if you choose to work with certain deities or certain spirits, certain loa, certain blah, 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 understand what their boundaries, what their requirements are. And if you're not willing to respect that or honor that, you don't need to work with them. And it should be the same way for you. If you cannot be honored or respected, then you should not allow anyone in your space to work with you, because you are just as powerful as any other being out here.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't remember it.
Yeah. And that can be as simple as even people that you may come across may have things attached to them that you don't know. You got to be careful on. So like me,
That's
dude,
why you
because
should get rid of the goddamn welcome mat outside your front door.
you know what I'm saying? Because you're welcoming everything into your motherfucking house, so everybody else can read it. They don't have to be in the
Hey,
vessel to read that shit. Oh, this is from this motherfucker. You know?
look, so to our listeners, right? If any of you guys make doormats, you should make one that says, you can come in, but leave all your entities outside the door and pick them bitches up when you leave.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I know
Including
that's a
shoes
mouthful,
and
but
all that.
still,
Yeah,
still.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know
yeah.
how you're gonna get that custom, but figure it out. You know what I mean?
It'll be a big enough door, man. Matter of fact, you'll just hang on the door. Just
You
say,
know, just hang on the door.
leave the
Just
bullshit at the
write
front
on a
door and pick it up
t-shirt
when
and
you leave.
thumbnail that motherfucker up if you got to. You know what I mean? Whatever you want to do with that shit. Like, figure out. You know, it may be
I'm letting
windy, it
you
may
know
be a little different.
verbally.
Yeah.
I'm writing it down and making it plain. And then,
And
of
that's
course,
good.
I got spiritual protection.
And
No,
that's
you
good.
keep your shit
Turn
to
it into
yourself.
the
But yeah,
doornail. The ringer. You know,
the
the bell
ringer. Oh,
ringer. I goddamn it. I can't. What is that? The motherfucking doorbell. I said it right the first
yeah,
time, right? So
doorbell.
you hit the
Yeah.
doorbell. Don't come in with all that bullshit. Leave all this out. Whatever. Turn it into that motherfucker right there. That'll eliminate
Your
that, and you ain't got to
demons are
ever
not
say it again.
welcome.
Right? All of that shit, right? And then, like there are certain times where, like with the energy work I do, I'm not just a licensed massage therapist. I'm
Hmm.
also and I got another episode that's called, I work with energy as well. I'm gonna
Hmm.
slate up to the next episode. Working with
Yeah.
energy as well. Everybody is different that comes in here that I have to set up the container, make sure my spirit guides is on board, my dragon is on board, everybody's on board.
Hmm.
We here to rock and roll, and ain't no shit gonna happen that ain't supposed to be happening, right? We
Hmm.
lock this motherfucker down and we create that. But some people may have trauma that can show up to be their demon, right? So,
Hmm.
demons can all, we're also looking, oh, it's the devil and it's Satan and shit.
No, not
No,
necessarily.
not
It's just
necessarily. Demons can
unhealed
be your
trauma.
motherfucking unhealed trauma. Exactly what I was
That's
about to
why
say.
inner child
Motherfucking your
work,
trauma.
shadow work, and therapy
That can be your
helps
demon.
you. Yeah, it helps you in knowing who you are so that you can better define your boundaries.
Mm-hmm. But that shit can come out. And
Yeah, but I still ain't
that
inviting you in my
has,
house. You can go to my energy work studio. Just don't bring
uh,
that shit in my house. I'm gonna
right.
have to
And,
rebuke you.
yeah. And even work with that, that can attach onto you. And let's speak about that real quick. So working with energy can be dispelled or
Transferred.
transformed, transferred to
Hmm.
you. And this is why you need boundaries put up. So it's like when that motherfucker tries to transfer, it's like, go to that motherfucking portal I put underneath that motherfucking table. Not me, don't attach to me.
Yeah.
But there's a flip side to that too. Yeah, there may
Hmm.
be some imbalanced energies that may want to attach to you, but when you help a client so much, they can try to even attach a cord to you because off of a
Yes.
positive energy that you got to be careful from. And they want to give
Hmm.
you the credit like, you helped me, you healed me, you made me feel better.
No,
No, you did that
I
motherfucking work.
just
I
held
helped
space for
you
you.
and held
I
space.
facilitated
Yes,
space for
all of
you
that.
to heal yourself. Yeah.
Which can also
I'm
be
not
another
your God.
motherfucking
I'm not
boundary.
better than you. I'm
And it
not
can
your.
easily go
Yeah.
that way
Yeah.
because of today's society is always used to externally, any religion is an
Hmm.
external thing, is always
Outside of myself that's
discrediting
helping me
outside
or
of yourself.
supporting me or healing me. No, it's
Yeah,
you
it's
that is
you.
doing it. You just
Hmm.
now have a safe space where you can physically attune to, spiritually attune to allow yourself to heal, to allow your body to do what it's magnificently created to do, which is get back in balance, get
Right.
back in alignment to heal.
Yeah.
And so healers, all we do, as Zoe said, is we create that sacred space so that you can do so. We maintain a certain level of vibration so that your vessel and your spirit can attune to that to facilitate and to open up healing.
Hmm.
It's like we're
That's what
giving you
we
a
do.
big ass hug.
That's it.
So a
That's
big ass
it.
hug so you can heal. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is a chord that a lot of people don't talk about. A lot of people feed off of that too. Oh yeah, I did this,
Hmm.
I did that, I blah blah blah. And yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes your ego can get in the way, be like, man, I did that shit? What?
Hmm.
But yeah,
Hmm.
you gotta check it because you're like,
Right.
no, technically I did it. I just
Yeah,
held
I
space
played a
for
part, but I didn't
yeah,
do it, you know? And
yeah,
if you don't do that, because
yeah.
boundaries is about making things balance, and anything that's
Hmm.
in balance can be considered invasion of your boundary. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
That you didn't know if it consciously knew that you needed a boundary placed, or if you're just
Hmm.
now consciously being aware of it's like, I think I need to put a boundary there. Or subconsciously. You never know. Because the idea, the whole thing is to be in balance, in alignment with everything. And that the core part of that is through boundaries, setting things in place the way it
Hmm.
needs to be so you can operate and function at your best, at the fullest, at the highest
Hmm.
vibrational frequency, which is your authentic self, with
Hmm.
knowing, out of love, all together and impacting the simulation or the matrix or the humanity or
Hmm.
the collectiveness by just being.
Yeah. So
That's
quick note,
yeah.
um, and this is a quick side note actually. So for our fellow selves that work with the earth, so our root workers, our herbalists, essentially in the simplest form, what you're doing is using the vibration of roots, plants, herbs, metals, the minerals to bring forth a balance because there is an imbalance somewhere. So when you're working with these elements, keep that in mind. Not only are you respecting their energy and their vibration, but understand and understand and comprehend that when you're working with them, you are working to bring about a balance. If you are balanced. I mean, some people do root work, to cause demise and blah, blah, blah. And so, and I'm not saying that's necessarily good, that's necessarily bad because it could be justified. I don't know the story. But essentially, whether you're on the right hand path or left hand path, so people got terms for it. When you're working with these elements and when you're working with these roots, you're doing it to bring about a balance where there was none.
Yeah.
You're changing the energy and the vibration of a circumstance or an individual should you have the leeway to do so.
I like that. And as more of us wake up and remember and remembrance
Mhm.
of who we are. That's why we, again, feel this is a good episode at the beginning to put out there is it's easiest to set the boundaries at the beginning before you create a habit that is going to be hard to break. Right.
Yeah.
So as you're
Yeah.
waking up, make sure you can do your best. And I'm not saying you're waking up on a well, you are once you understand because there's constantly rebirthing happening, you
Mhm.
know,
And
even
remembrances.
and remembrances happening. So it's a
Yeah.
constant death and a rebirth, death and rebirth, death and rebirth, death and
Yeah.
rebirth. You're like, can I just be? Well, you are being, but constant birth, death, rebirth, death, rebirth. It's going to
Yeah.
happen that way, right? So
Uh-huh.
as you do this, you have to reevaluate a lot of things because even on the awakening journey, one way you
Mhm.
can think you can be vibrating and this is what I'm doing, I'm a healer, I'm this, can easily transition into a different role that may not have you
Mhm.
operating at this level. So like for prime example, me as a licensed massage therapist, as well as an energy worker, I thought
Mhm.
licensed massage therapy is it. I found it, boom, boom, boom. And then
Mhm.
energy came. And when energy came, not that it's time for me to put down massage therapy or not, but that has slowed down and I became more present in the
Mhm.
energy aspect.
Mhm.
Now coming more present in energy aspect, there's another death and rebirth coming. Remember the motherfucking dragonfly. There's another new death coming, you know what I'm saying? That
When did this
brings
damn
in
dragonfly show up?
right? It's like I'm trying to tell you, they keep doing doing it today.
Oh
Another
Lord.
motherfucking rebirth happened where
Mhm.
it's encouraging me to take more of a mentorship role or more
Mhm.
of teaching role.
You passing
Not
the
that
baton,
these
essentially. Yeah.
but pass the baton that get this is one of the reason why we have the episode, or not just the episode but this whole podcast, is
Mhm.
to take our experiences and what we learned and share it
And
amongst
share.
whoever,
Yep.
so you're constantly
Whoever can need it.
evolving. You know what I'm saying? Because you never know where
Mhm.
you're going to go. You never know what needs to be reevaluated, what needs to be relooked,
Yep.
what new boundaries need to be put up, what boundaries you don't have to worry
Mhm.
about no more because you're operating at such a high fucking level that it never impacts
Yeah.
you again. If you still go
Yeah.
around family and they still fucking bothering you, you got work to do. Put some boundaries up.
Yeah.
But if you can operate, you know what I'm saying? But you can still operate around and see them, even if you have a
Mhm.
boundary where you don't necessarily want to be around them or care to be around them much because y'all just not in alignment and in two different ways and journeys.
Yeah.
You should still be able, in case you come across them out in the street or something, be able to say hi
Sure.
with a smile and not feel a certain way.
Mhm.
Once that's what the boundaries for, because it can also take out that emotion that you got to still process through because you allowed that
Yeah.
emotion to invade the boundary that you said your boundary ain't
Mhm.
strong enough. So
Yep.
it's so much that shit go in. It's like you want to line this motherfucker up right here. You want this motherfucker right there, line all the way the fuck up, right there. You will come straight down. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
If all of them the motherfuckers beaming, then who gives a fuck? We're still one.
Yeah.
There's still reflection. There's still this.
Mhm.
There's nothing to be. You know what I'm saying? Live by being
Mm.
authentically you.
Yourself. Yep.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. I see. So, anything else we'd like to share? Anything? You know,
Hmm.
How you feeling? I think we hit the spiritual, we hit the physical, we hit emotional a bit. We gave scenarios, we gave examples, how you can clear that, recall back energy, set boundaries up so you don't necessarily have to recall back energy because it never
Mhm.
got through to you in the first fucking place. That's another
Yeah.
lesson I just gave you right there. That's the reason for boundaries by itself. Set some shit up so you don't have to do that recall work
Oh
and
gosh.
operate. You know what I'm saying? So
Uh-huh.
it's
Yeah.
it's it's down to the T. Even with the spiritual realm aspect of multiple dimensions and all that shit is everywhere. It's not just I don't want to see this person anymore, so I'm gonna set a boundary. No, every fucking where, even out of this realm, out of these dimensions, boundaries need to be set up
Mhm.
as you learn to ascend and work with, if you choose so, entities or Mother Earth, or they're for you. Like everything, it's about balance, and you
Yeah.
can't have balance and you can't display love
Mhm.
without boundaries. Otherwise, it's
Mhm.
invasive,
Mhm.
controlling,
And you self-destruct.
self destruction.
Yeah, don't do that, fam. Don't do that. Don't. Please don't.
Hopefully y'all
We
learned
love
something
you.
with all this shit that we just did.
Yeah.
We love
Just
you.
say
Yes.
no.
Just say
Say
no.
no.
Mean
Everybody
it.
say no. That
Mean
part.
it.
That part.
Stand your fucking
Yes.
ground with that no matter what it is, because you're going to feel way better being authentically you than trying to fit in that's not you,
Or
right?
trying
Or
to
try to be
compromise to
something
make
that's not.
somebody else happy, or
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
you're going to feel
Don't
like
do
you
it, because
fucking compromised yourself because you did.
that's
You
gonna
know?
cause an inner death that is
Yes.
inexplicable.
Yes. And hopefully you learn a lesson
Yeah.
from it, goddammit, because it was there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yes, we
Awesome. Yes.
appreciate you watching the episode today, episode 5, Boundaries Part 2. Check out the Zodiac
Again.
Experience for Part 1 if you choose to do
Yep.
so.
Wherever it is over
Wherever that
there.
shit is, or down
Okay.
below. We love you. And
Yes, we
again,
appreciate you all for
appreciate
listening
you.
and
Yes.
sharing.
And sharing. We definitely let us know. Like, once we start seeing some comments and everything there of
Mm-hmm.
y'all wanting to speak with us and go live, we'll start fucking going live.
We sure
But in the
will.
meantime, I think y'all enjoy kind of the format
Mm-hmm.
what it is now. But
Yeah.
we do plan on going live where this is a place where you could come and hang out and just chat
Mm-hmm.
amongst us and learn
And
from each other
enjoy
like
and
we always
have
display
fun
and just
and
have
trip out.
fun. Yep. We're on all
Again, this is
platforms
your,
again. Yeah.
yeah, Spotify, YouTube.
Everything. Yeah. Apple, Amazon,
Yeah.
iHeartRadio,
Oh,
all that.
iHeartRadio. Yes.
Yep. Yep. We on
iHeartRadio.
iHeartRadio too.
Okay.
Yeah. So we
Awesome.
appreciate you. We love you. And until next time, peace.
Peace.